Today's episode of Your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster podcast is sponsored by us. Because of us. Oh, fuck off.
Hello, everyone. This
No.
is Your Time Starts Now, a Taskmaster podcast. I'm Emerson.
And I'm Joe.
I was afraid I was going to ruin your bit, but you ruined it for you.
Oh, well, you've got nothing to worry about from this point onwards. Anyway, Series 4, Episode 5 of Taskmaster, Meet. Now, I should say we experienced a handful of technical difficulties before recording this.
We are on recording attempt 4 right now.
Yes. You'd think it was our first time ever, wouldn't you?
Our first time went better than this from a technical standpoint.
Oh, remember my Bluetooth headphones died and I had to run and get them?
Yeah, no, actually, no, I take that back. That was 3 recordings stitched together. That went... No, that was 1 recording that you had to, sync up in, 2 different places.
Yes. I've got nothing more to say on that subject. But what I do have to say is I have some... we nearly couldn't record tonight anyway because my laptop, which is a MacBook Air, is 4 years old and is starting to show signs that it might be breaking down. Because the mouse trackpad finally gave up. It doesn't work from this point onwards. I went to a computer technician, great guy. Unfortunately, I can't remember his first name. But he took apart the computer, had a look, see if there was anything wrong with it, whether it could just be some debris or if the wire was a bit crooked. He said that he thinks the pad might actually be done with, so either I have to replace it, which will be about £80, or just get a new laptop entirely, which would be about...
which would be more than that.
Yeah, depends what model I go with, but...
But I would like to point out that you could probably just continue using that with a 10-pound wired or wireless mouse.
It's just a weird thing to adjust to. It's because
I understand that, Emerson, but you also have to understand that normal people don't use the trackpad exclusively. I'm still not caught up, still not over the fact that you edit audio and stuff with a trackpad. That's astounding.
Well, some people are Apple users, some people are Microsoft users, and
the Microsoft users are correct.
No, what I'm going to say is neither party is correct, but when you've used one type of company for so long, you get used to their technology.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I think if you use a mouse for a couple of weeks, you will wonder how you ever accomplished anything with a trackpad.
Maybe I will, but for the time being, this is how we're going. That's how I'm feeling.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah, that's the big news.
We did this banter before, and so we already did it, and you can't hear it because the Zencastr went away for some reason. I think my internet just farted out, and it took Zencastr with it, and Zencastr took the first bit of the episode, so we're doing this again.
Can you tell that we are really just pissed off beyond complete recognition?
He's pissed off beyond recognition. I've been awake since 5 a.m., 5:30. And it's now 5:30 p.m., so I just want this to be done.
Me too. So I think, other than that little story, we should just hop right on into the episode. Series 4, Episode 5, Meet.
Do we want to throw in the other numbers too, 1 and 2, just because we'd mentioned 3, 4, and 5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's that?
Oh my God! Not that song again.
Oh no! It goes. I said 1, 2 to the 3, 4, 5. Once I caught.
I've still never heard that song.
That baffles me. But anyway, banter between Greg and Alex. Greg Davies, Big Gregory, Big Gregors, Big Greg's sausage roll. Greg feels like Alex is gaining confidence throughout the series, and Alex says he agrees with this statement. So much so that it led him to invent Cola Mobile. Cola that can be drunk anywhere. Cola to avoid copyright infringement with some bigger brands.
Which I also thought that this was a very subtle Virgin Mobile joke, because the Virgin Group made a cell phone brand called Virgin Mobile, but also made a cola brand called Virgin Cola. However, I think it's more just along the lines of Alex having invented something that already existed. But it's a fun concept to have.
Indeed it is.
Anyways, prize task, my turn.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing it this time. The contestants were challenged to bring in the cutest thing, or a picture of the cutest thing. Actually, no, it wasn't even a picture of the cutest thing.
It was just the cutest thing.
Yeah. However, several of them were pictures. Lolly, as an example, brought in a photo of herself as a baby.
Second week in a row, Lolly has brought in a picture of herself.
Yes, but this one is not of her in whiteface as Diana, Princess of Wales. This is of her as a small baby in holding a rose.
Everything but Lolly herself is white in this picture.
Well, the rose isn't white. The rose is red. But yes,
you get what I mean.
Yes, that is in fact correct. It's just a picture of Lolly as a small baby. It's done on film, and it's obviously just like a standard point and shoot film camera, so it's not the clearest image, but you can still see Lolly. I'm a little bit ambivalent on this. I'm not one of those people who will go look at the cute baby even if the baby is not cute. So
I thought it was a cute picture.
It's not uncute, but it's like there's a scale of cuteness, and this is not high up on it. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Next up is Noel. And Noel okay.
You're not a fan of this?
Noel brought in a plate of cute googly eyes, which he admits himself is not that cute, but instead can be used to make other things cute. The example given is that he has put googly eyes on a hammer and made it look cute. The problem with this is that I have always associated this sort of thing, which the term for it that I've always heard is called eye bombing, when you just stick googly eyes on it, is it's not cute, it's funny. It's not it's not a cutesy thing. It's a joke, it's a funny thing. It's like, haha, now it has eyes, and that's funny for some reason. I don't know why it's funny, but it is. It's not exactly cute. At no point have I ever thought that googly eyes were cute. It never would occur to me that googly eyes were cute, and I'm not in the camp of thinking that they are cute. Just, it's one of those things where it's like, I've never thought of this like this. It really has not convinced me, if that makes sense.
Sort of. It's a very weird like the googly eyes themselves, yeah, they're not, I wouldn't say they're cute, but it's sort of what you do to it. It's sort of
I get that. It's just that it's like a hammer with googly eyes on it is funny. It's a mild chuckle, but it's funny. It's not cute. It's a positive emotional response, but in a completely different direction.
I thought the hammer was kind of cute.
I genuinely did. I tried to look at this like, oh, is that cute? And I was just like, no. No, it's just not cute. It's funny. I definitely think it's funny as it's very funny, but it's like it's endearing or maybe kind of humanizing.
That
If we
hammer
really
with
want to,
googly eyes looks like it could be the main character in a mid to late 2000s pioneering YouTube video.
yes, exactly. Not cute. There's a lot of things it is. Cute isn't one of them. So I'm not a huge fan of that. What I am a huge fan of is what Joe Lycett brought in, because he brought in a picture of his dog. He didn't specify if it was his dog or not, but it's a dog named Birdie.
Bertie the dog.
Yes, I am not an animal person, as I have said. That being said, the dog is very cute. It's a very cute looking dog. Joe has brought it on tour with him many times before. Apparently, it once took a shit on the stage of a place he was trying to convince, oh, he's very well trained, which means he has better comedic timing than some contestants on U.S. Taskmaster, and it's an adorable little puppy. This is the sort of thing you bring in because 99% of people in the world, me not included, would just go, "Aw," at the picture of any dog. And this one is actually cute. So, yeah, there's that. Next up is Hugh. And Hugh, this is one of the only times I'm not going to come to his defense in a task, because Hugh has... Okay, I want you to just sort of understand what I'm trying to say. I feel that Hugh has been through a couple of filmings of the prize tasks by this point, has understood that no matter what he does, Greg is going to dislike it, and so has intentionally changed what he brought in to be terrible. Because what he brings in is some really distressing, bug-eyed, cat-shaped toy slash squeeze object, like one of those stress ball things where the eyes pop out. It makes a really distressing mewing noise. It looks even worse when the eyes have popped out. And more importantly, what makes me think of this is that Hugh mentions that he has lost every prize task so far, and then he pulls this toy out from an envelope that was under his arm, which makes me think that he really was just he probably brought in something that was actually cute. I believe Hugh has kids. He has kids. I remember reading about...
Yeah, he does. I think he has maybe 2 or 3.
He brought his daughter to the No Time to Die premiere. So he has kids. And so I think he probably brought in something that was actually adorable, like maybe a baby picture. And I think his thought was that Greg is going to just be a jackass anyways, so why not just not phone it in on this one? Because I can't imagine that this one is actually something that he thought was cute, because it's just distressing looking. If it is, because it's not even in line with the stuff he's brought for other attempts, because in the previous one, the Cloud Appreciation Society was resoundingly mocked by just about everyone, and has only ever not been mocked by fans. And even then, some of them still make fun of him for it online. But Hugh was genuinely surprised that Greg hated it as much as he did on stage, which means that Hugh normally brings in stuff, even if it's viewed to be terrible, that he likes. And considering that he didn't even remotely object or look offended when Greg shat on this, I really think that Hugh just had given up at that point. I'm interested to see what the next couple of prize tasks are, to see whether or not he just had fully given up and was just giving bullshit stuff just to make it go by faster. Does any of that make sense? I just sort of started talking.
I'm sure it made more sense to the people listening than it did me.
Okay, great. Finally, Mel. Mel brought in a plush
little tiny peas. Hello. That wasn't even the same voice as she did.
Okay. Emerson did not tell me he was going to do the voices for that. That came out of nowhere. Anyways, Mel brought in a plush little pea pod with 3 peas in it. It's really interesting because Greg didn't like it to begin with. It looks adorable-ish. It's like you have to like stuffed animals to give a shit about this. But it looks adorable. And then Mel does the voices because she says they all have different voices because I guess she made this up for it. And Greg likes it less. And if I'm really honest, I kind of was on board with it, and then she did the voices, and I'm like, I see where he's not liking it, because I was not entirely on board with it. I didn't like the voices. I didn't like that they're, needed to be voices, because it was just a cutesy-looking thing to begin with. So, yeah, that's, do you want to play the soundbite of Mel doing the voices, or no?
I mean, I can play the soundbite, of course.
We can compare the two.
I think the resemblance is uncanny. Yes, we do, don't we? I think it's... I can't do that third one. But yeah,
I think you have more commitment to this bit than I ever will.
Thank you, Joseph. I really... Shut the fuck up.
The one on the left is speaking like that.
Oh, dear.
And the one in the middle talks like that.
Well, I mean, he's clearly having an inappropriate relationship with her.
And the one on the right talks like that.
Irritating.
Okay.
Wasn't that soundbite just great?
You shut... Bleh! You shut... Bleh! You shut up! Bleh! I think... Hang on, I'm having a stroke.
Can we just call this episode Emerson Has a Stroke?
No,
or some...
I don't, let's just call it me going, high-pitched, trying to do the high-pitched...
How do we transcribe that sound?
No, we go we'll call it, we'll just call it Bleughhh.
Bleughhh.mp4.
I like to Bleughhh. I don't Bleughhh.
Hi, listeners. I don't know what he's doing either.
Anyway, did we do scores?
No, we haven't done scores yet, Emerson.
Anyway,
Greg unsurprisingly gave Hugh dead last place. He gave Mel 4th, Noel 3rd, Joe 2nd, Wally 1st. Let's do the Taskmaster Joe theme, because I did it a little differently.
I know you did.
Of course, I always do.
Get it right. Okay. Fuck it, just play it. Taskmaster Joe.
You know what's really funny is that after every time you do that, I always think, oh, he's going to edit out the snap he puts to mark the place for the drop, and you've never done that, not once. Have you edited out the snapping of the fingers?
I like it. It's
it's a thing. We can't get around it now because it's a bit that you've been doing for at least 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But anyways, I also gave Hugh last place. A rare showing, but I think he would have he's just thrown in the towel at this point. Which, considering how Greg's been treating him, I really can't blame him. But yeah, I didn't like this at all. I thought it was unsettling. Noel, I'm going to give 4th because Googly eyes on a hammer is funny, but it isn't cute. Mel, I'm going to give third because, it cancels itself out. The voices detract a lot, but the actual physical cuteness of it is evening it out. Lolly, I'm going to give second because really, compared to Googly Eyes, a stuffed pea, and whatever Hugh brought, I can't put it any lower. And Joe Lycett brought in a picture of a dog that was genuinely adorable, and so I am going to give him that. Give him first place. On to task 1.
Which is what I'm taking.
Yes.
Hopefully the little peas won't pop up again, but who knows?
Also, can I just make one observation about the music in the introduction to this task? As they do they always play the Taskmaster theme when they go zoom in on the house to introduce the task. It's played backwards this time.
Okay, why?
It's I don't know, but it's played backwards. Actually, they do a lot of time stuff with this one because they also we'll get to it in a second. They show the tasks out of order because they show Joe and Lolly. They show the build up to Joe and Lolly's first, then stop it and do everyone else's, and then show theirs, which is something that I don't think they've ever done before.
I think it was just sort of to just drag out the tension of the fact
No, I get that, but they've definitely done a couple of things they've never done before in this task.
I think there's 7 tasks in this episode.
There are 5. There are 6 because there's the live task, there's
the prize task,
and then there's 4 tasks, and there's 4 VTs. So that's 6.
Hang on.
Although the last VT has subtasks within it for different people.
Some of them have bonuses as well, but I think more what I meant was just different tasks in total. But anyway,
there's a lot in this one.
Anyway, so VT task 1, slide the furthest within 1 attempt, and
you have 20 minutes and 1 attempt.
Yes, you do. Now I should say that this episode, the episode of Taskmaster that we're covering, is just called Meat. But I think that there are 2 better titles that could have been, and the first one is a quote that Mel says. It's her definition of a slide, which is
action without friction.
That's a quote that just sort of
oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. That, and also Greg's response, which is that it's an action with some friction. Both, just from an editing standpoint, really stood out as things that were infinitely quotable and definitely seemed like they put them oh yeah, we can totally make a title out of this. I'm actually a little surprised that they didn't, considering that when we get to the actual meat joke, it's really not meat is not
something that clicks with you.
Yeah, it's not a single thing. Even from we'll get to that in a couple of tasks, but even then, the meat line is not even the best title drop from that little bit.
It won't even be something that you'll remember about the episode, I think. The fact that the meat portion, pun not really intended, the meat portion of this episode is so insignificant to what it's a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. That must have been someone in the editing staff must have really had that as their favorite little bit from the show. And just would not let anyone else change it. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But anyway, should we talk about Joe and Lolly first, even though they're shown last?
We should do it in the way the episode talks about it, which is discuss the build-up and then come back to the results.
All right, so Joe and Lolly have
Don't you mean jolly?
Yeah. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cough coming down. But Joe and Lolly, or Jolly, as they are colloquially known for this task, both have very similar methods to start. Both get out the big blue tarpaulin and pin it down. Joe does it on the grass, whereas Lolly does it on the concrete drive just before the gate.
Yeah, they're trying to make a slip and slide.
Yeah. Although I was going to suggest, I couldn't quite remember the wording of this task. I thought it was like make the longest slide, but now I know it's slide the furthest. Where if it was make the longest slide, they could have just laid several tarpaulins to make a slip and slide. But no, that's not what this task is. So, but anyway, they lay down. They both make slip and slides. They get the classic things to make a slip and slide. So the tarpaulin, buckets of soapy water, washing up liquid. In Joe's case,
ingredients, butter, whipped cream, and saran wrap.
Yeah, Joe. I think it's Joe who tapes like a bin bag to himself.
Yeah, I think he actually uses cling film at some point to go around his midsection.
And he sprays the whipped cream on his chest, Katy Perry style. I think. Have you seen the music video for California Girls?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I think he. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think he did it more on the bit that had the cling film on it, so that it would be even smoother. As if that would work.
As if indeed. I should say, though, in response to the Katy Perry thing, Katy Perry is one of my guilty pleasures, I'm not going to lie to you.
Why is that a guilty pleasure?
Because it's sort of just early to mid 2010s music is really just something I vibe with. It just makes me very nostalgic.
Well, everyone always said, "Oh, it's my guilty pleasure." Pleasures should not make you feel guilty about it. Just enjoy things for what they are.
Yeah, but sometimes a guilty pleasure makes it exciting. So that you specifically are not really known to be associated with your guilty pleasure, which is why you sort of keep it quiet. And it's but yeah, anyway.
That's real weird. Just enjoy things.
Katy Perry is my guilty pleasure, and it's not the last time we'll be hearing a lot of celebrities rattled off in this. Lolly says that it's all about and then proceeds to do a weird hand gesture, kind of like she's, the best way I could put this is spanking the air.
I think I missed that.
Just go back and watch the episode. It's during in the preparation. She says it's all about and goes with a below the waist spanking gesture with her hand.
Okay.
And but like the episode does, we shall leave you on tenterhooks with Joe and Lolly for now, and we shall mosey on over to Hugh Dennis, who has a very interesting approach. Not a bad one by any means, but
no, it's not.
It's very visually interesting. Hughes. He ties some rope to the caravan, and then he sits on this a plastic red sledge or sled, depending on where you're from. I think Lolly uses the same sledge for her slide.
Yeah, I think didn't Joe use it too, or did he not?
He might have.
I don't think he did. Now I think Joe and Lolly might have both.
Lolly definitely did.
Yeah.
But what Hugh does is he just seems to drags himself along the grass towards the caravan. It's a funny image.
Yeah. He runs it through the bit of metal bent for the tow hitch, at the very front of the caravan, and he grabs the other end and just pulls himself along like an elevator almost.
That's a good way to describe it. It's not very fast, but that's not what matters. He slides pretty far. But
18 meters 90.
Yeah, I do just like the image of that. Next up is Noel Fielding. In a similar sense to Hugh, he slides himself along a surface. What's the thing he called? Is it a wakeboard?
I've always heard it described as a boogie board.
A boogie board.
Which sounds like the most Americanism you can possibly have for that. But, it's a board, it's like a foam thing, a foam board you take with you to the beach. And we always used it to like try and catch waves close to shore.
It's like a surfboard for people who can't surf.
It's almost intermediate surfing because it's definitely you are laying down on it. You can't stand up on it because it's made entirely out of foam, and it's very small.
Oh no, wakeboarding is the thing where it's like water skiing but on a snowboard.
Yeah, no, a boogie board is. God damn it! There's so many other stupid things that are named boogie board. Boogie board is.
Can you look up the?
It's technically called a bodyboard, in which bodyboarding is a water sport in which the surfer rides a bodyboard on the crest, face, and curl of a wave, which is carrying the surfer towards the shore. Bodyboarding is also referred to as boogie boarding due to the invention of the boogie board in 1971 by a guy named Tom Murray.
That's the most American story I've ever heard.
The average bodyboard consists of a short rectangular piece of hydrodynamic foam. That's what it is.
Who do you think's I want to make this a quick question. Who do you think is the most American person you've ever seen?
Hi, I use a mirror.
No, it's just like do you know who I think is the most American person in the world?
Yeah, go ahead.
He does the voice of Mater in Cars. It's Larry the Cable Guy.
That's Larry the Cable Guy. But what's really, really funny about that is that Larry the Cable Guy is an act. That's just a guy he's not even from the South. He's from like the middle of Virginia, I think. He does stand-up in like the role of Larry the Cable Guy. Nothing at all about him is actually like that. But I think the other problem is that America has so many different people in it with so many different subcultures that it's impossible to say with any specificity what the most American person is. Because if you ask like a bunch of people, you're either going to get a bunch of stereotypes, most of which are negative leaning, or you're going to get like a very sort of like regional answer. But you started asking me about it.
I did,
what?
But anyway,
if I can find it, there's a GIF of a guy holding an American flag while standing out in the street as a hurricane blows around him. That's probably the most positively stereotypical American I can think of.
Anyway, Noel slides along a couple times.
Yes, which he does it in heels, which is really interesting. Because he's wearing like lifted boots with heels, and he's doing it, and he's just sliding like under his own momentum. He's not using a rope, which that's just good on Noel. That's not anything else to say about it.
But Noel's problem is that he at the end of each slide, which he does on the concrete drive, he picks it up and goes back again. And this no longer counts as his one slide was his first attempt. And everything beyond it is just pointless. And Noel asks Alex,
why didn't you stop me then, you dick?
And which, to be fair, though, is a good question.
It is. It's one of those things that it's like, I bet if Greg were in a better mood, he would have like dialed into that, but he didn't.
I didn't make note of Noel's distance. Did you?
So the longest attempt was 14 meters or thereabouts.
I can see that.
But Noel did multiple attempts on this. I'm very impressed that he didn't shred the boogie board on the concrete.
Me too.
But considering it's just foam, but yeah, the best attempt was 14 meters, which is basically like from the gate to almost the
front
steps
doorstep
of the house.
And finally, well, not finally, but the last person to first be seen in this task is Mel Gedrowich herself.
Don't you mean Mel Sledroich?
Mel, radiating positive energy as always. She gets zipped up in a sleeping bag, but I wrote she gets ripped up in a sleeping bag, and I don't even want to imagine what that looks like. She's in a crash helmet. Two members of the crew just drag her along several times around the garden, and 56...
She's very encouraging throughout the entire event.
Yeah, like literally, we need a Mel Gedrowich in our life. We just need someone to say positive things that really lift us up, even when all we're doing is just walking down the stairs and getting ready to go outside. But she slid well over a meter, 56.5 meters. And now, but we're not done yet, Joe and Lolly are finally getting their turns to slide. The way they've been building up, you think that they might slide so fast that they take off into the stratosphere, never to be seen again. Joe slides pretty normally and he doesn't even make it off the tarpaulin. Lolly attempts to slide on
misses the sled
and just falls flat on her face in just what is a moment of complete and utter defeat.
Yeah. Lolly got 3.2 meters, Joe got 5 meters 80.
I should also say that Alex Horn's unit of measurement, Lolly's height of 3.2 meters, the same height as Kylie Minogue on a horse. And Joe's length slide of 5.8 meters is the same height as Vince Vaughn on Owen Wilson on Ben Stiller on an unlit barbecue.
Always very specific units. Gotta love it.
It's like the meme in America, like they'll always say like stay 6 meters of like for social stay 6 feet apart.
6 feet.
That's like 2 shopping carts or 3 washing machines or something, and it's like the Europeans will measure the speed of a car in meters per second. Americans will measure the speed of a car in
the Americans
tow trucks over hamburgers.
The Americans will measure the speed of a
Larry the Cable Guys over hamburgers. Larry the Cable Guys over hamburgers.
The Americans will measure the speed of a car correctly, and the Europeans will use the metric system. We've had this argument before, I believe.
Yeah, but it's like America... Oh, forget it. I can't be asked to argue this late in the evening. Anyway,
right.
Mel gets 5, Hugh gets 4, Noel 3, Joe 2, and Lolly 1. Do you want to do Taskmaster Joe for this?
No, there's nothing that you can do for that. Actually, I think this and the next one are both objective tasks, so there's no Taskmaster Joe for either.
Fair enough. Speaking of the next task, this one's for you.
Yeah, this is the return of Fred the Swede in a very COVID-appropriate task done well before the pandemic. This involves a video call with Fred the Swede, which, interestingly, I just would like to note that, again, with the task intro video, the task intro where they like show the outside of the house and they sort of like show different things from the set as they fade into the task. This time, they show the first couple of seconds of it, and then they cut to the laptop inside the main room of the Taskmaster house with that clip playing on the screen of the laptop, which I get. Not even with the make your own movie trailer task did they actually do that. So this is the first time we've seen it introduced in a manner such as that. Just to point that out.
I also want to say that this is the last appearance, I believe, of Friedrich the Swedrick.
Which is very unfortunate, because it shows that he can do stuff via video chat. Because he did, in fact, move back to Sweden.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe we shall see Friedrich the Swedrick again someday.
I hope so. Fred, if you're out there listening, come on the podcast. We like you.
Not Fred.
Anyways.
Not Fred. Friedrich the Swedrick.
His name is Fred.
But I like to call him Friedrich the Swedrick.
Yeah, but if we call him that, he might not come on. He wouldn't know who you were talking to.
I think he seems like a smart man. He could probably piece it together.
But anyways, Fred then presents the task on screen, which is very interesting. That's been done a couple of times where the task is shown on screen, but this is very interesting in that it was also read out as well. I don't think the last couple of times that the task has been shown that we also see them reading it, but Fred presents the task from Sweden, and the task is maintaining constant eye contact and making continuous small talk with this Swedish person. Put on the wetsuit, flippers, face mask, and snorkel. Your head may not leave the Swedish person's frame at any point. You may not move the laptop from its current position. Fastest wins. Your time starts when the Swedish person smiles at you. It's further explained that any break of eye contact or leaving of the frame or anything is a 5-second deduction each. So, which I would obviously like to point out that the smartest move would have been to move the entire table, but nobody did that. Also, the snorkel and the wetsuit and everything is not visible. It's packed away in a suitcase off in one corner of the room, so everyone has to contort themselves and get it. Then, actually, the actual task itself actually isn't shown that much. This is a very short task within the episode, so we just see like little clips from each person. We see Mel's very pre-COVID viewpoint on video chats, namely that she hasn't done anything. She hasn't done any of them and doesn't want to. Points are also a bonus point will also be awarded for the best wearing of the wetsuit. We learn from this first set of conversations with Mel and Joe that Mel has no idea how to comport herself on a video call, which hopefully she learned in 2020 or before 2020, hopefully. And she barely managed to get the wetsuit on. Joe Lycett...
She also continuously broke eye contact.
Yes, she did. Joe Lycett ends up just making... It's described as big talk with Fred because it's not small talk, but also he is just outrageously flirting with Fred the entire time. He also manages to wear the wetsuit the best out of everybody. Spoiler alert, but nobody else really manages to wear it as good as Joe does. Things we learn about Fred is that he is actually, now that he has moved back to Sweden, he is a painter and a decorator as well as a musician, which if we learned from the last time he was on the show, his father was a painter and a decorator. So he is maybe he's in the family business, but he is still a musician. Joe took 4 minutes and 22 seconds to get dressed. Mel took 6 minutes 4. Hugh, first of all...
Sorry, Joe also likes to really ask questions about quiche.
Yes, he does. I'd like some quiche. I'm not going to be able to get any quiche.
Do you get quiche in America?
Not as much as I'd like.
Do you like quiche?
Yes. It's eggs. How can you not like it?
I don't know. It's just like I've never been a fan of the texture.
It's eggs in like a cake/pie form. What's not to like? But anyways, then we go on to Hugh and Lolly. Hugh actually debates on what counts as a smile for Fred, which is very funny because he says, and if we can just drop the soundbite right here, it's that...
That's a kind of a mad, crazed killer sort of look.
It was very rich coming from Hugh. Or...
Yeah, I was about to say, that's rich coming from Hugh.
Or maybe it's just like he knows the mad, crazed killer sort of look.
Takes one to know one, Jesus Christ.
Yep.
He also asks if Fred goes to IKEA a lot, which
Kind of racist.
sounds like a Swedish stereotype, but also I can't imagine Sweden as like it has to, in my head, it just has to have like either a Volvo dealership or a IKEA on every street corner. So who knows? Maybe it's accurate.
IKEA is very, very Swedish.
Yes.
IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
IKEA. Do you guys pronounce it IKEA in England?
Oh no, we say IKEA. The IKEA is more how it would be pronounced in Sweden, because in IKEA adverts in this country, they'll have a guy, most usually of Swedish descent, narrating the adverts.
Oh, okay.
So he'll say something like, "It's time to conquer the great indoors. IKEA, the wonderful everyday."
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the last time I saw an IKEA ad on television. The nearest IKEA is like 3 hours away, so that might have something to do with it.
I can't remember the last time I've actually been to an IKEA. I think I should just go for fun one day.
Yeah, I've done that before. It's fun.
Anyway,
you can spend. Then Lolly, at the other end of this, Lolly does not wear the wetsuit very well at all, and also she asks about Fred's work, and Greg describes her whole conversation as tiny talk, as opposed to Joe Lycett's big talk.
Mm-hmm.
Which Hugh gets and not much else more is said about that. Hugh gets 3 minutes 45 seconds. Lolly gets 4 minutes 10 seconds. Then we get Noel, who the only thing that really we need to say two things about this. First of all, Noel has a very interesting definition of wear, and just takes everything and puts it in the pile and wears it on his head. Greg doesn't like that. Actually gives Noel 0 points.
Well, technically 1 because he had.
No. We're gonna get to that. But then the more interesting thing is that Noel is apparently a blonde and dyes his hair, which he mentions to Fred. He then says goodbye to Fred, says we should keep in touch, and then says, but we probably won't, will we? And Greg does give him a single point for his honesty. And he also gives Joe a single point for wearing the wetsuit the best. Which, after that, they add in all the penalties, and I couldn't, for the life of me, figure out which score was which. Did you write them down, or is that why you wanted me to talk about this one?
The scores. These are the final scores, including bonus points and all that for everyone.
Yeah.
So Lolly and Joe both have 5 for I think somehow.
Because Joe got a bonus point.
Yeah. Hugh had 3, Mel 2, Noel 1. This is factoring in all bonus points.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I wasn't sure about how they did the end of it. But next we have a team task, and it's you, Emerson.
It is a team task, and it is me. So, this is quite a complex team task because, well, the word team is used very loosely, but actually, no, it's not. It's all about cooperation. This is a task. I think this is one of those tasks where really working as a team is important.
Yeah.
And we see one team working well as a team, and we see one team working atrociously as a team. So
working against each other.
Yep. So one member of the team, from both teams, has to put as many different things as possible into the bathtub. Another member has to try and seal the top of the bathtub with cling film. And if your team has 3 people in it, then the third person has to fill the bathtub with water. So the people putting as many different things as possible in are Hugh and Lolly on their respective teams, and Joe and Mel are doing the cling filming, and Noel has to fill the bathtub with water. So Hugh and Mel, or Mel and Hugh, TV's most famous double act. What they start off doing it as you do, as you might expect. Mel is really bemused at Hugh for doing, putting things in and sort of destroying her handiwork with the cling film, so to speak. So what they do is they talk to each other like good people do. They talk to each other and they let each other know what they have to do. So Hugh's given the chance to do pile as many things as he can, and then he actually helps Mel cling film it, being the chivalrous chap that he never normally is, but is for this one time. And it's because of their cooperation and their ability to share with each other and be open that they are able to absolutely trounce the threesome. Joe, Lolly, and Noel. This was just complete chaos. There was no rhyme or reason to it. Lolly has to go and get all the different things. Joe keeps taking Lolly's things out of the bathtub. Noel's run off somewhere, and then he just reappears out of nowhere. The shot of Noel running in with the hose for the first time is probably my favorite shot of the episode.
Yeah.
Because it's
and
just,
also,
the camera doesn't follow him. He just runs into frame and then runs out. Like, he's just come out of nowhere with the hose.
Yeah. And also, it's really funny that the same table gets picked up and thrown out of the tub each time. Although everyone blames the youth for being young and not talking to each other, but I think part of it has to do is the way that the task was presented, which is that it said in each task that they had to whisper it to Alex through cans on a string, like the old style, like can on a string phone sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which and I think that if you don't think about it that hard, like they obviously weren't, that you just think that whisper this to Alex means don't tell anyone, or is like in other ways priming them to keep a secret, which is why I think they did that.
I need to stop getting distracted, sorry.
But yeah, just figured I'd mention that because it's not entirely their fault.
Also, I should note that Alex genuinely laughs
at
them.
Oh yeah, Alex thought it was hilarious.
I said he laughed maliciously. It's not like a mwahaha kind of laugh. It's just like, oh, these people are fucked up kind of laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And it's those sort of moments that make me appreciate Alex Horne just that little bit more. Because at the end of the day, he's probably as much of a psychopath as you, Dennis. He takes pleasure in people's pain. But anyway, this task does a big number on the scores. It means the two old folks, Mel and Hugh, get 5 points each, and everyone else gets nothing at all. Which means that Mel takes over the lead. There's one more VT task, and I think this one's yours.
Yes, it is. This is this is about impressive throws, and so to start with, the task is introduced by a big rubber duck falling off the roof of the house with a task attached to it. It almost lands on everyone's head when they come out the door, but they don't actually get hit by it. The task is throw something into something. Most unbelievable throw wins. You have 10 minutes to plan your throw, then 10 minutes to pull it off. Your time starts now. We first start with Joe, Lolly, and Hugh put together. So that would be Jolly You, if we're just combining everything. But, or...
Hugh only?
Yeah.
I mean, this episode's not called Bleughhh for nothing, is it?
Yeah. But, so Hugh starts, he puts a toaster in the corner of the roof. Like, there's a bit where, like, the eaves of the roof come together, and he sticks a toaster in that crevice and just starts hurling toast at it, trying to get it in the slot. Lolly is sitting on a tennis umpire's chair in the middle of the yard, and is hurling Skittles out of a bowl towards Alex, who is sitting in the doorway of the caravan holding a mug of tea. And then Joe is sitting on the umpire's chair, facing towards the house. There's a tree next to the house that he stuck a traffic cone in, and he's trying to throw walnuts into the narrow end of the traffic cone. All of these are really fucking stupid, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to accomplish the sort of things that channels like Dude Perfect do, where they, take some frisbee and have an incredible trick shot, and it's really hard to do that on the first try or even on the 15th try. Actually, there's a great Captain Disillusion video about this where he actually talks about, it gets easier after a while because you've been doing it for 2 hours. And he actually shows how he did a trick shot which involved him not CGIing anything, but just him doing the trick shot 70 times until he got it. And so that's basically what happens here, is they spend the entire time just throwing shit at there until it eventually gets it in. Lolly is just pelting the ground with Skittles until eventually, at some point she just gives up and starts throwing handfuls. I think eventually one makes it in. Joe's looks the cleanest because he doesn't get anything at all into the traffic cone until he gets the nut in, so it doesn't show up on camera because he's shoved a GoPro down the end of the traffic cone, which is dark as hell, so you can't see anything. And then Hugh has utterly surrounded the toaster with just toast. A killing field of toast.
Why is he asks why is he throwing already toasted toast into a toaster?
Because I thought about this, because untoasted bread is limp and floppy and does not throw very well. Toast is rigid. That's why. Because there's better air, because it's more likely to go in the direction that you throw it.
I know it's they're different food, but if you think about it, it's funny that when bread heats up, it becomes a lot more rigid. But when pasta heats up, it becomes a lot softer.
Well, pasta heats up in water and becomes softer. Critically, bread also becomes softer if you put it in hot water. If you just put pasta in a toaster, you get burnt pasta, which is much harder than normal pasta.
That's fair enough, actually. I don't know why my brain went there, but
no, it's a valid joke, but it's just different ways of cooking things. Actually, in my notes at the end of this, it says they all eventually get it, but there's a lot of debris and general mediocrity before that. After that, we get the aforementioned meat segment, because as I said, they're trying to imitate viral videos of someone throwing something into something impressively, and Greg decides as a bit that he and Alex are going to role play as businessmen trying to talk around the water cooler about these events. Alex requests that he has some information so that he can properly role play. Greg decides they are exporting meat, and they roll with this for the rest of the bit, which
the meat segment is very weak. I think
it's very weak. It doesn't really go anywhere or do anything. I think that this just sort of came up naturally and they ran with it, and it seemed much funnier to them because obviously it got to be the title of the episode. I think that Greg might have thought this was really funny. Either that or one of the stronger lines in this is there are a couple strong lines in this segment, Greg just saying at one point, "We export meat."
Let's get these pigs to France. That?
Can that's a different line right after that. If we could just play the soundbite for both of those are much.
The soundbite for
"We export meat." Have you seen that video?
Yeah, I like that one.
Right, let's get these pigs to France.
Okay.
those lines are much funnier, and I can almost believe that someone wanted to keep the meat segment in, like put the meat bit in the title, and whoever was in charge of doing like the title for this was like, what meat bit? And they just sort of scrolled through it and heard meat, and that's what it ended up being. Like, I'm sure this was either someone was really attached to that joke, or someone misunderstood what they were supposed to do it and didn't catch it until it aired. Because meat as just a line, comes and goes in a second and is never mentioned again. Like normally stuff like that is usually like at least mentioned again. No one mentions the meat bit again.
Yeah, I said that there were two lines two things that I personally think would have made much better titles. The other one is mentioned in the live task. But we'll get there in a second.
Yeah.
We've got to talk about Noel and Mel.
Yeah, Noel's, I think, is a little bullshit even before he does it, because his thing, he has a tennis ball on a racket. He bounces the ball off the racket into the door of the caravan. He did not put nearly enough force into it to make the ball come out the window of the caravan, and yet somehow it does. The ball immediately flies off screen and then lands back on Noel's racket, coming from a completely different direction, which makes me think that there are several different people standing just off screen with tennis balls in the caravan and just behind the camera, and it lands on Noel's racket, and there's been a bucket set up at the front of the door to the Taskmaster house, and Noel tilts the racket over a little bit to get it in the bucket, and it rolls right off the rim of the bucket and onto the ground, missing the bucket altogether. Sad trombone noise for Noel. Because, exactly. This was not his best showing, and
this was not a great episode for Noel.
No. Also, I personally just did not agree with the fact that it clearly was multiple tennis balls being thrown from out of frame. Like, each time it goes out of shot of the camera, there's clearly just another one being thrown in. I think that's not as pure of a task as it should be.
I mean, I said that Noel hasn't had a great episode. I think it was episode 3 of this series, Mel's score is the lowest score in Taskmaster history 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, where she got like 3.
Yeah.
Bet you that's why they've never done negative points again on a task. But what were you saying about Noel?
I don't remember what I was saying about Noel, but I think it's just like this was. I was just saying this was not a good episode.
This was not his strongest episode.
Although, to be fair though, Taskmaster New Zealand does some interesting things with the scoring. Someone finished the series
a partial score, yeah,
with a half point, and also in the second series, there was a sort of like a task that continued on throughout the series.
I'm excited for Taskmaster New Zealand season 2, because I watched a clip compilation of it of like the best moments of season 2, and it was a half an hour long.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. I've seen it too, and did you watch the whole thing or just a bit of it?
I watched the entire half hour thing, and I'm desperately curious to watch the rest of it now.
Oh, I'm going to tell you right now. Would I say that Taskmaster New Zealand...
I know. I would believe you.
People are asking if Taskmaster New Zealand is better than the British version. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say yes to that yet. But Series 2 is easily up there with like Series 7 or Series 11 of the British version.
I'm real annoyed about this, because Taskmaster America could have been that good if they'd gotten a cast that tried as hard as the New Zealand.
I mean, to be fair though, people across... I mean, there's some people in, I think, the state of Minnesota who made their own version of Taskmaster. That's actually all right.
to watch that, and I've just never been bothered to. But yeah, no, it's.
Anyway.
I think we're gonna have to talk about Taskmaster America at some point, and it's just gonna be bad. And I'm gonna have like a 20-minute rant about the state of broadcast television in the United States. Anyways, Mel. Speaking of broadcast television in the United States, Mel watched the A-Team a lot when that was out, and wants to throw a person into the back of a moving car, just like they did in the show a lot. Now, I thought Mel was going to jump in the back of a moving car, but Mel grabs a mannequin from inside the garage, I think, and tosses it into the trunk of a Ford C-Max that Alex is driving. And the car wasn't moving very fast, and it just sort of happens. It was kind of boring. Interestingly, the music is a drum piece that is obviously meant to sound like the A-Team theme, even though it's like it's well, yeah, no, they don't. Yes, that's it. But it doesn't actually sound like the A-Team theme. But if you know anything about the A-Team theme, you're like, oh, this is obviously the A-Team theme. This is like obviously themed around the A-Team.
I don't know the A-Team theme as the A-Team theme. I have to say that.
What do you know it as?
There's a boiler company in the UK, appropriately titled British Gas, and they use the A-Team theme for as like a background noise for their ads for a while.
Okay, I was going to say, I know Top Gear used the A-Team theme as a background choice for a couple of episodes, but yeah, no, for those who don't know, the A-Team was very old broadcast television from the 1980s, which was a very like Adventure of the Week sort of show involving, among other people, Mr. T. And also, is there water running in the background of your video, Emerson?
No, I think something just went on in the house.
Oh, okay, but anyways, the A-Team also involved Dwight Schultz, who, for those of you who watched Star Trek: The Next Generation or Star Trek Voyager, was later become holodeck enthusiast Reginald Barclay from that show, which I always love to think about because it could theoretically mean that one of Barclay's holodeck explorations is just the A-Team. But anyways, moving right along, Mel's is obviously the best one out of all of this, and Greg's scoring reflects that. He gives Mel first, Null second, Hugh third, Joe fourth, and Lolly fifth. And if we could play the Taskmaster Joe theme at just a slightly higher speed than normal, okay. I have a very short Taskmaster Joe.
Okay, hopefully I can get the click right this time. Oh, yes.
Right. All of these attempts sucked. Every single one of these sucked. And so I am giving everyone but Mel fourth place, and I'm giving Mel second place. That's
very interesting.
None of these were good. I understand why they weren't good, but that doesn't change the fact that none of these were any good. And so we'll
move on to the live task so we can wrap this up hopefully in the next 10 minutes.
Yep.
Live task, make the longest continuous noise. You get a bonus point if you make the best noise.
Which, can I just mention something? Right before this, when they hand Hugh the task, there's an interaction where it's like, you all right, Hugh? And then Hugh just says the word Thursday.
That Hugh's use of the word Thursday, I think, was the other phrase that I think could have been the title of this episode.
What is it in reference to?
I think because what Hugh does is...
Can we play the soundbite just so that everybody knows what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, Hugh. Oh, hi. Hello. You all right, Hugh? Thursday.
Now, let me explain what I think this bit means. So, Hugh's being asked to read the task out, right? And he looks around a bit bemused, like he doesn't know where to go. And then he sees Alex. and his bemusement catches him off guard. So that's why he says, "Oh, hi," in that sort of like, "I can't believe you showed up" kind of manner. And that's when when Greg asks him if he's all right, after seeing how bemused he was, Hugh's response of Thursday is just completely random and left field to sort of like justify the fact that he's not all right.
Oh, that's not a reference to anything. Okay.
I mean, the only thing it could possibly be a reference to is the fact that Taskmaster airs, at least now, on Channel 4 on a Thursday.
I was thinking it must have been like in reference to something that got cut. Like there was some studio joke.
I don't know, but I still think the word Thursday by itself just could have been a good episode title.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been.
And also because it's in like that interaction might be quite memorable because of the word Thursday.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they have to make the longest continuous noise. They're all blindfolded and they're given headphones that play music.
That play awful music, apparently.
Yeah, by the horn section. So this is so they can't see or hear what their contestants are doing. Noel Fielding, they go right to left in reverse alphabetical order. Noel Fielding's up first, and he makes this noise. As you can tell, it makes...
Oh, that's how we're doing this task. I was wondering how we were going to present this to the audience. In my notes, it says, just play the soundbite, finally podcast content.
Exactly. But here, Greg, as you can see, it makes Greg laugh very easily, very quickly. It's I can see why. Obviously it's the first attempt. Greg doesn't really know what to expect. He doesn't know how to contain himself. I feel like Noel was treated quite unfairly there, to be honest. It was a in contender for best noise, but I feel like generally, he'd set himself up for failure with that noise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a very weird one.
Mel makes this noise.
There was a slight pause. There was a slight break in the death rattle.
And I think her strategy is good because I think making your noise quieter means that you have more lung capacity to go for longer, so that you're not exerting yourself. Mel. Oh, I should say that Noel managed 4 seconds. Mel managed 14. Lolly's up next. She says that she's asthmatic. Alex says that he's also asthmatic. And Lolly makes this noise. I wrote down that this sounded like a siren of some sorts. What did it sound like to you?
It sounded like the best noise.
I mean, if it wasn't for the genius of Hugh Dennis, I would have given the best noise to Noel as sort of like compensation.
I thought that Lolly made the best noise because it was certainly something.
I can see why you'd do that. Lolly manages 21 seconds. Joe, before we start, Alex actually gives Joe a kiss. And that's the most Alex has ever broken the touch barrier with a contestant.
Yeah, and Joe didn't react in the slightest.
Which is funny because I thought Joe would like that. He's always seen kissing Greg's portrait. Alex has always been very uncomfortable about the comedians making physical contact with him. So seeing him make such close, intimate physical contact is really weird. But Joe makes this choir-esque noise that sounds like this. It goes on for 32 seconds. So he's currently in the lead. Not much to say. And then Hugh starts taking off his belt. It's not that kind of show, Hugh. But what he does is, I will admit though, this aside from the kind of scary beginning,
genius.
Yeah, so he's not exerting his voice. He's just making a whooshing sound as he spins his belt around in circles. And he manages it for 30 seconds, which is great, but it's not long enough to overthrow Joe. So Joe wins the task.
He tried to spin it around. He tried to spin his belt a different way around, almost like to show off, and sort of like got it. The noise stopped momentarily because his arm hitched wrong or something. But
okay.
Yeah, he tried to add a little flourish, and in the process stopped the noise, which actually, everyone was going like, oh, he did it. And Alex actually took like 2 or 3 seconds longer to actually click the stopwatch on the iPad after realizing that Hugh had stopped it. So I wonder if he got an extra couple of seconds because of it. If you watch the
sorry. Something happened. It's all right though. I completely missed that. Sorry.
Oh, why don't we just listen to it again in the edit?
Sure, whatever. Anyway, it's a tie between Mel and Hugh, and should we very quickly do the? Do you want to do the tiebreaker, or should I?
Yeah.
Knowing you'll probably take even longer than it.
Oh my God! Listen. Okay, it's speed eating. Eat as many peas as 1 minute. There are 500 peas on the table in the lab. Hugh uses the task to funnel the peas into his mouth. Mel just like kneels down and like puts her mouth at the level of the table and just sort of shoves them into her mouth. The end of it, there are a lot of peas left on Hugh's table. Mel's table is clean until you look down at the floor and realize they're all on the floor. Mel ate 174 peas in a minute. Hugh ate 199 peas. Hugh wins.
Yay! I can go to bed.
Oh my God. Okay. Right.
Hugh Dennis finally makes his Taskmaster victory debut. He has put himself on the map to an extent.
Yes, and he shuffles up on stage like an old man, grabbing like one of the stools to use as like a fake walker as he walks up there.
Oh God. I mean, the man is pushing 80, as Greg said.
Oh my God. How old is Hugh Dennis? Let's just Google that.
I think he's about 59.
Hugh Dennis is 59 exactly, born 13 February 1962.
Man, Hugh's going to be nearly 60. Anyway, we've got 3 episodes left of Taskmaster Series 4 to go. The schedule with them, I've got to do a lot of...
hold on. Just before we go away, you want to know something really funny? I was restraining from making a Frank Skinner joke about when we were talking about Hugh being really old. What is the surname? What is the surname of Hugh's wife?
Skinner.
Yes. His wife's last name is Claire Skinner. His wife's name is Claire Skinner. I cannot make this up.
And on that note, I've been Emerson.
I've been Joe. Wait, I thought I was Emerson.
I think we like I said, who gives a shit?
Right, okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.